Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! 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 Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and we're about to take a look at the oft-forgotten sequel to Frosty the Snowman, Frosty's Winter Wonderland, starring Jackie Vernon, Andy Griffith, Shelley Winters, Dennis Day, and Paul Frees. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, today we're going to take a look at the oft-forgotten sequel to Frosty the Snowman, entitled Frosty's Winter Wonderland. And as our movie opens, it's been a few years since Frosty left for the North Pole, and the children long for the snowman's return after the first snowfall of the season. Meanwhile, back at the North Pole, Frosty, who is equally lonesome for the children, hears of the snowfall and decides it is time to return. The children are overjoyed when Frosty comes back to play with them, but Jack Frost sees the fun that the children are having with Frosty and becomes jealous of him. When he learns about the origin of Frosty and the magic silk top hat which brought the snowman to life when placed upon his head, Jack plots to steal it from Frosty in an attempt to make the children love him even more. But that night, while Frosty and the children are ice skating at a frozen pond, Jack, unknowingly and mistakenly, captures a horse's old top hat with his ability to blow snowy winds, and believing it to be Frosty's, he disappears with it. However, Frosty becomes sad and lonely at the end of each day when the children go home for the night. At the children's suggestion, Frosty decides to have a snow wife in order to help keep him company. Frosty helps the children build a snow wife for him, and they name her Crystal. But much to their dismay, the group can't find a way to bring Crystal to life. Later that night, Frosty presents Crystal with a bouquet of frost flowers, and his gift of love brings her to life, and the two joyously frolic through the snow until Jack uses a gust of icy wind which blows Frosty's top hat off, turning him back into a lifeless state, and taunting Crystal that Frosty is now gone for good. So, in order to prove Jack wrong, she sculpts a corsage out of snow and places it on Frosty's chest, gives him a kiss, which immediately brings him back to life. Befuddled by his reanimation, Jack throws Frosty's hat back on his head in disgust. Frosty and Crystal run through the town announcing their impending wedding to the children. So the children recruit Parson Brown, the local preacher, to marry them. However, he can't perform the ceremony as he's only allowed to marry humans. So, to ensure that the wedding still takes place, he assists the children in building a snow parson, whom he brings to life when he places his Bible in its hand. When Jack decides to spoil the wedding with a blizzard, Frosty and Crystal decide to try and reason with him, and they ask for him to be the best man at their wedding. Finally, feeling some appreciation and acceptance, Jack agrees, and Frosty and Crystal are finally married. Frosty, Crystal, and Jack then have fun with the children all winter, but they notice the weather is starting to grow warm once again. So Jack uses his powers to extend the winter in order to allow Frosty and Crystal to stay. But when Parson Brown warns them about the dangers of an everlasting winter, the three realize that they must return to the North Pole. The group skates to the train station, and Frosty reunites with the traffic cop that he met in the previous special, who is shocked to hear that Frosty now has a snow wife as well. As our movie comes to its end, Frosty, Crystal, and Jack board the train for the North Pole and bid farewell to their friends, and the three promise to return the following winter. In a lot of ways, for many reasons, I actually prefer this to the original Frosty. Number one, the narrator, Andy Griffith. I was raised on the Andy Griffith Show in syndication in reruns. My dad would watch Matlock in the 80s. So I just grew up with Andy Griffith. Jimmy Durante, as amazing of a narrator as he is, just something about his voice that can be a little bit annoying at times. But Andy is just so warm with his stories. You've got Jackie Vernon back reprising the role of Frosty from the original, the addition of Shelley Winters. You've got Paul Frees back. And while the animation looks a little bit off in comparison to the original, again, we're talking about the 60s to the 70s, so it makes a little bit of sense in storytelling. And maybe that's part of why this one isn't as popular and not as widely known. It's because the animation style kind of looks off in comparison. The thing that I love most about this are the direct parallels between this 1970-something Christmas special and the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. In both things, you have Jack Frost, who is jealous of the lead character. In this, it's Frosty. In the Santa Claus 3, it's Santa. Basically getting all the respect of winter and the holiday season, and he gets no recognition. In both things, you've got Jack Frost being a mischievous character, doing everything that he can to upstage Frosty and Santa. And upon first couple of viewings, you don't really think about it. But when you've seen these as many times as I have, you immediately pick up on the connections. And it's like, wait a minute. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, is basically this special, but with Santa instead of Frosty. And then you just kind of mind blown there when you realize it and you have that epiphany. So maybe that's part of why I enjoy this one so much, because of how much I enjoy the Santa Claus franchise and how much I enjoy the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. Depending on what day of the week it is, it's either neck and neck with the original in that franchise or better than for me. There's some days I feel that the original Santa Claus is better than the Escape Clause, and there's some days I feel the Escape Clause is better than the Santa Claus. It just kind of depends on what mood I'm in. But back to Frosty's Winter Wonderland, it's so obvious once it's in front of you, the parallels between the two. Even though this is a 20-something minute movie, special, whatever you want to call it, and that's an hour and a half, an hour, 45-minute major motion picture, you can't unsee the similarities once they've been pointed out to you. With that in mind, this one, additionally, much like the others, gets 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. It's not so good that I can consider it perfect, but I put it right there with the original Frosty, with Santa Claus is Coming to Town, with Rudolph, on that level. And much like I said about 'Twas the Night Before Christmas yesterday, I highly recommend that you try to find this if you've never seen it and watch it, because it's a great continuation of the original Frosty story that for whatever reason just gets lost in the shuffle of Christmas and just not given the respect it's deserved much like Jack Frost within the special. What did you guys think? Those of you that have seen Frosty's Winter Wonderland. Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that debate, that discussion, that interaction that I'm always asking you for. And it's not over yet for today. Make sure you tune in at the top of the half hour, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And we're going to wrap up today's Rankin Bass triple feature and Frosty Trilogy with the Lorne Michaels produced Frosty Returns, starring John Goodman, Jonathan Winters, Jan Hooks, Elizabeth Moss, Michael Patrick Carter, Brian Doyle Murray, and Andrea Martin. You're not going to want to miss out on any of that right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel on Renegades Reviews. All new episodes every day this month. Some days there's multiple episodes. So you want to make sure you're here for all that content. So smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Open Mic Night, Statboy Sports Bar, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share this video with your family, friends, loved ones, co-workers, movie fanatics, cinephiles, fans of Christmas, fans of the Rankin Bass specials, fans of Frosty the Snowman, fans of Andy Griffith, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to boost up my visibility in YouTube's algorithms so I can eventually get monetized and make some money on these videos. Thank you once again to everybody who joined me and tuned in today. It means more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.